I never expected to be adopted by the most feared woman in town. It changed my life forever. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. The air was thick with anxiety. My heart raced as I stood alone in that cold, dreary hallway. I could hear whispers, people gossiping behind closed doors. They called her the Black Widow. Parents warned their children about her. No one dared to step foot near her mansion, draped in shadows and covered in creeping vines. She was a legend, an enigma, a woman who had lost everything. They said she had a heart of stone, a figure that could instill terror. The burnished door of her home, crafted from mahogany, towered over me like a fortress. My palms were clammy, trembling as I knocked. I half hoped she wouldn't answer. But the door creaked open, revealing her piercing green eyes, cold and assessing. "Miles," she said, voice like ice. I shifted my weight, feeling the weight of my past clinging to me. An orphan. Abandoned. My heart ached to connect, to belong. She looked me over, judging, as if deciding whether I was worth her time. My breaths came quick as I stepped inside, the door slamming shut behind me like a prison cell. The inside of her house was dark. Shadows danced along the walls. It felt alive, almost breathing. A buzzing energy filled the air. Photos of lost souls lined the hallway, each telling a story I longed to understand. Who were these people? Friends? Family? I shivered, overwhelmed by their silent gazes. "Sit," she commanded, and I obeyed. My heart pounded in my chest, echoing in the silence. I wanted to ask questions, to uncover the mystery of this dark queen. But words failed me. Instead, I felt the stirrings of hope mixed with fear. What if she was as ruthless as the rumors suggested? Then came the unexpected turn. A tremor in her voice. A flicker in her eyes. "I lost a child," she whispered, and for a moment, the fierce woman cracked. The vulnerability swept through me, binding our pain. Could she see my scars too? Tension tightened around us. I could almost feel the air shift, like a storm was looming. I wanted to reach out to comfort her, but fear held me back. Her reputation loomed large, entwined with tragedy. Just as quickly, she masked her grief. The shadows returned to her gaze. "What do you want?" She barked, reverting to the fierce woman everyone feared. My breath hitched. Was I just a project? A way to fill the void left by her loss? Or could I be more? I felt the lump in my throat, drenched in uncertainty. I took a gamble, whispering, "I just want a family." Her eyes narrowed, and I held my breath. Would she laugh? Or worse, would she throw me back into the world that abandoned me? The silence stretched, thick like a heavy blanket. My heart felt like it was going to explode. What would happen next in this twisted game of fate? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The air held its breath, the tension coiling tighter around us like a noose. I could see the intricate battle playing out within her, the fear of lost ward with the desperate need for connection. I felt the bitterness of uncertainty clawing at my insides. Would she shatter again at the thought of opening her heart? Her silence stretched. The only sound was the distant ticking of a clock, each second marking the pulse of this fragile moment. Her eyes bore into mine, searching for something, perhaps the truth of my words. I pushed through the lump in my throat and added softly, "I know what it feels like to be alone." Just as I thought I had found my footing, she smirked, and the room's atmosphere shifted dramatically. "Alone?" She scoffed, the hint of a derisive laugh escaping her lips. "My dear boy, alone is a privilege you haven't known. Loneliness becomes an art when you've endured as much as I have." Her words stung, and yet there was a strange cadence to them, as if she were reciting a well-rehearsed monologue. I felt small in that moment, the weight of her anguish pressing down. "But I want to try," I breathed, willing my desperate hope to transpire into something tangible. Maybe we both can? I want to help you to be a part of something real. She rolled her eyes, dismissive, yet I saw the briefest flicker of something softer. It was gone as fast as it appeared, cloaked by the shadows once more, and a silence fell between USA lull filled with the unsaid. Abruptly, she stood and turned away, the soft chime of a pendant hanging at her neck eerily echoing against the silence. There are no families here, boy. Only ghosts. I watched her step into the gloom of her expansive living room, the light from the setting sun casting long shadows that danced beside her. I wanted to scream. I needed to break through her fortress. I stood up, determined to follow her. You're not a ghost. You're alive, and so am I. We can't be trapped by what we lost. As those words escaped my lips, I recoiled, unexpected realization crashing over me like an unforgiving wave. Did I dare challenge her? She paused, her back still to me. You think my life is something you want to be a part of? There was a tremor in her voice that vibrated through the air. It felt raw, distressed. I hesitated, wondering if revealing my raw honesty could change anything between us. I don't know what your life is like, I blurted, but I know the pain of losing everything. Maybe together, we could start to heal. Her shoulders stiffened for a moment before she finally turned to face me, her expression unreadable. You have no idea what you're asking for, she retorted, yet this time the words held less conviction. In that charged space, I saw a flicker of vulnerability beneath her steel exterior. It was a revelation so fleeting, so fragile, that it sent a rush of warmth through me. I'm willing to risk it, I whispered, my voice breaking, because I want to feel at home. Home? She echoed, the coldness in her eyes melting just a fraction. Home does not exist in the absence of love. It was then that I noticed something. The dust motes swirled through the air and caught the fading light, sparkling like hope. It was small, but perhaps, just perhaps, it was enough to weave a fragile thread between us. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I spotted a flickering light, an old lantern sitting atop a dusty table, its wick long extinguished. I had a sudden urge to light it, hoping to banish the shadows that clung to us. As I reached for it, I heard her sharp intake of breath. What are you doing? She demanded, but I persisted, lifting the lantern gently. I want to invite light into this darkness we've been living in, I said with conviction. But as my fingers brushed against the wick, an unexpected voice shattered the moment. Miles. A child's voice called from the back of the mansion. Startled, I turned, my heart racing. Who was that? Why was there a child's voice echoing in this desolate place? Suddenly, the walls felt even more constricting, and the air thickened anew with a sense of impending doom. My eyes darted back to her, panic and confusion warring within me. Did I just uncover another layer of her past? Or was it something else entirely, a secret that could change everything? The warmth of hope I felt moments ago began to chill, and the shadows in the corners of the room appeared to stretch longer, becoming more alive as I stood at the precipice of an unsettling revelation. The child's voice echoed again, sharper this time, and it sent shockwaves through my body. Miles, where are you? It was the kind of voice that could tug at a heart, sweet yet filled with urgency. I turned back to her, expecting a show of surprise, perhaps even fear. Instead, she stood frozen, her eyes wide, haunted with a mix of emotions that played across her features. Who is that? I stuttered, my pulse quickening. What's going on? Her composure fractured. The mask of indifference she wore so perfectly crumbled. It's nothing, she uttered, her voice trembling. Just a memory. Just a memory? How could a voice from the past summon such reactions? The air was thick with unanswered questions. My heart raced as I navigated through my own unease. Every instinct told me to flee, yet another part of me yearned to understand, to grasp the complexity of her sorrow. I can help you, whoever it is. You don't have to hide from your ghosts, I insisted, stepping closer. Every word hitching painfully in my throat, yet spilling out like it was the only thread tethering us in that surreal moment. Miles, stop. She snapped, her hands clenched at her sides. You don't know what you're asking. You can't just wade into the ruins of my life. Like a wave crashing onto the shore, her anguish propelled me into the open waters of her past, leaving me gasping for breath. But I want to know, I murmured, trying to reach through the wall she had erected with dread and heartache. Please, let me in. Her piercing eyes met mine, swirling with such intensity that I felt honored to bask in their depth, if only for a fleeting moment. You think you can handle the truth? She asked, her voice low, almost a challenge. You're on the brink of something dark, malicious. The corners of the room seemed to congeal, shadows creeping forward into the light that now felt dimmer, more like a fading echo of hope rather than an invitation to warmth. Still, there was a flicker, an unyielding spark to bridge the chasm dividing us. I am not afraid. It came out steadier than I felt. I'm afraid of losing this moment, of losing you, before I even have the chance to understand. It was then that I heard it again, the child's voice rising, weaving through our darkened space like fragile thread. Miles. Please. A sudden rush of determination surged through me, pushing away the gnawing doubts. I didn't know what lay at the heart of her shadows, but I was willing to plunge into the abyss if it meant finding the girl buried beneath. Let me find her, I urged, feeling the weight of the lantern still in my hand. Both a remnant of warmth and a potential beacon. You brought me here. Don't you have the slightest desire to uncover this with me? For a moment, she hesitated, her walls visibly trembling under the weight of my words. But then the flicker of hope vanished like the fading daylight, and something darker settled in her eyes. It's too late, Miles. The words slipped from her lips, heavy with resignation. Suddenly, a gust of wind rattled through the open window, casting the faintest chill across my skin. Her voice lowered, a whisper filled with regret. What you hear, she doesn't belong to this world. She's a phantom of my making. I stumbled back as if slapped, the world around me warping. What do you mean? If she was real, I couldn't process what she was implying. Panic enveloped me, and I grappled for clarity, for meaning, as my breath quickened. Miles. The voice echoed again, but now it was tinged with sadness, a haunting melody, not a plea. Miles. Come and play. Each syllable was a dagger, thrusting deep into my chest. I shook my head, trying to pull back from the edge of her revelations, but felt myself falling into a dizzying array of slippery truths. No, I won't believe that. You can't tell me she's not real. Her expression hardened, shifting into a grimace of pain, and I realized that my words had buried themselves deep, cutting through her carefully constructed silence. She was real once, a long time ago. But I saw how her fingers trembled, and for a breathless moment, fear danced in her eyes as if she had just let slip a dangerous secret, a buried treasure that threatened her existence. But you don't understand the cost of knowing. Maybe I can. Hope flickered somewhere in the background like a whisper, urging me onward, deeper into her darkness. The voice, it could lead us closer. She stepped back, shaking her head, the suffocation of bottled emotions being released in an anguished sigh. You're not ready for this. I won't let you go there. Is she a ghost, or is she the key to unlocking what's real? My voice trembled, laced with desperation. But even as I posed the question, a cold fear gripped me that the truth could shatter everything, maybe even me. The lantern slipped from my grip, clattering against the floor, and as it extinguished into nothingness, the room plunged into darkness just as the child's voice called out again, this time softer, almost a lullaby. Miles, the haunting echo wrapped around us, as if the walls were whispering secrets long forgotten, and I felt an insatiable pull toward that voice. That possibly broken connection, needing to understand, needing to find her. But just when I thought the pieces were aligning, a crash echoed through the house, a loud shatter that stole my breath. I spun around, my heart racing, as my eyes started to express a mix of horror and fierce protectiveness. She turned to me, fear pooling in her gaze, yet this time tinged with something else, something urgent. You have to leave. I promise you, you'll wish you hadn't come. Before I could respond, the silence fell again, heavy and suffocating, leaving me teetering on the edge, realizing I stood upon a precipice far too deep into the heart of her secrets where no light dared to tread. And just as I opened my mouth to protest, a shadow loomed beside me, dark and sinister. Miles, the child's voice mocked from the void, you can't escape what's coming. In that breathless moment, The world around me began to collapse, and everything twisted into an aching uncertainty that deprived me of escape. I had just stepped into the storm desperate, lost, and hoping that somehow, through this spiraling chaos, a piece of her humanity would emerge, along with the shattering truth that lay buried in the shadows. The darkness wrapped around us like a suffocating shroud, each heartbeat merging with the thunderous pulse of dread in the air. I stood frozen, grappling with the weight of her warning and the ominous presence now looming beside me. The child's voice, once so sweet and tender, twisted into an echo laden with foreboding, clawing at the corners of my mind. Miles, it taunted, an eerie mimicry tinged with malice. You thought you could play detective in a world of shadows? You don't belong here. I felt the chill seep into my bones, a stark contrast to the warmth I once thought existed between us. The flicker of hope I had grasped tenuously began to fade, replaced with a panic that felt all too familiar. I glanced to her, searching for the assurance that I hadn't stepped into a trap of my own making, that there was light here amidst the encroaching darkness. But her face was now etched with an emotion I had yet to decipher. Fear, yes, but also something deeper. A profound sadness that hinted at countless untold stories hiding behind her haunted eyes. She stepped closer to me, narrowing the space between our bodies, and I felt her trembling fingers wrap around my wrist, a lifeline amidst the chaos. I didn't want you here, not like this, she whispered, her voice breaking with unsteady breaths. Every part of my life that leads back to her, it's a curse I never wished on anyone, especially not on you. What do you mean? I asked, my courage quaking alongside every word as the darkness grew heavier, suffocating my resolve. Who is she? Why does she haunt you? Her gaze flickered toward the shifting shadows, and I could see the tremor of her clenched jaw as she struggled with her truth. It was as if I had inadvertently opened a door to a memory she had gone to great lengths to seal. She was everything to me, Miles. My light and my dark. But when she inhaled sharply, a deep well of emotion strangling her words. When she disappeared, I tried to keep her alive, to bring her back through endless echoes and whispers. An unexpected sadness pierced through me at her revelation. But beneath that was the unsettling knowledge that she hadn't just lost a child, she had ensnared herself within the confines of grief so powerful it had birthed something sinister. And now she's haunting you, I murmured softly, grappling with the enormity of her pain. Suddenly, the shadows shifted again, an icy touch skimmed over my skin, and the child's voice surged like a tide, a lamenting sorrow now clearer than ever. Miles, come and play, she sang, but the playful lilt was ripped away, revealing the raw pang of longing and abandonment. I'm alone. Don't leave me alone, please. I shouted against the encroaching void. Tell me how to help her. There has to be something we can do. As if drawn by my desperation, a flicker of light came from behind me, a soft glow that illuminated the lines of her face etched with anguish and regret. Her brows knit, and in that moment, the air shifted palpably, separating us from the sweat-drenched urgency that had enveloped our confrontation. Miles, she whispered, her voice trembling, we can't unearth her from where she's been buried. I feared this day would come when she would cry out again. Forcing myself to remain composed, I shook my head. If she's not at peace, then neither are you. You have to confront this, embrace it, but her eyes filled with tears as the light began to falter, the shadows inching closer, painting frightening shapes on the walls. You don't understand, it's not just her. It's the weight of what I've done to keep her alive within me. I felt my heart drop. The connection we'd forged began to twist in front of me, weaving rips and holes that made the walls quiver with incoherent whispers. What did you do? What have you hidden from me? Before she could answer, the room plunged back into an abyss as the light disappeared entirely, the child's voice piercing the silence like a harpoon. Miles. The game is not over. A surge of despair gripped me as an unearthly chill swept through the air, fraying my nerves and stripping my resolve. Her scream echoed. In my ear, was it a warning or a promise? I tried to reach for the ember of light we had ignited, but it was snuffed out entirely, leaving me teetering between understanding and the unspeakable terror looming ahead. In the chaotic swirl of emotions, I knew one thing. Unraveling the depths of her past might prove riskier than I had ever intended. And yet, I felt the beckoning pulse of the child's voice like a siren's call, urging me to confront a truth that could shatter the very fabric of our fragile connection. The distance between us felt insurmountable as I reached out, my hand trembling. Then came a resounding crash, a shattering noise that echoed in the suffocating silence, as though the very world I was in was caving in around me. "Miles," she shouted, the fierce protective instinct flaring up anew. "You have to decide now. Do you want to know the truth? Are you ready to face the darkness that's been lurking in the corners?" And just as I gathered the strength to step forward, clarifying my resolve amidst my swirling confusion, a darkness loomed larger than before. A cruel reminder that choices made in desperation can lead to the unthinkable. In that heart-stopping moment, I knew I stood before the precipice of her past, bracing myself to leap, never realizing the full weight of terror and courage it would demand. The echoes of my heart pounded against the silence, each beat a reminder of the fragility of the moment. With her words suspended between us like a fragile thread, I struggled to process the crack in our shared reality, the revelation that stood poised to shatter everything I thought I knew. "Are you ready?" she whispered again, her eyes wide, but glistening with something more than fear, a tremor of hope and unconditional love, perhaps tethered to the weight of betrayal she couldn't fully unveil. I saw a flicker of the woman I had come to trust, woven into the depths of her despair. The darkness crept closer, curling at our feet like a shroud threatening to take me too. "What if the truth is worse than I can bear? What if I can't help you?" I asked, my voice cracking, exposed against the oppressive weight of her secrets. "Truth is not always kind," she replied, her gaze unwavering, the connection between us forging a path into the unknown. "But it's necessary, Miles. Please." Her voice trembled, thick with vulnerability. "It may be the only way to free her." With an involuntary sigh, I stepped closer, the fear and anticipation coiling in my chest tighter with every moment. I knew we were walking a tightrope, perilously close to falling into an abyss that had the potential to swallow us whole. But deep down, I felt something inexplicably, a sliver of loyalty that urged me forward. As if summoned by my willingness, a figure materialized from the shadows, hunched and spectral. My breath caught in my throat as the child's mournful eyes locked onto mine, their depth a haunting mixture of innocence and sorrow. "You can help me too, Miles," she whispered, the plea laced with a yearning that sliced through the chilling air. "Help you how?" I found myself asking, the pit of uncertainty curling in my stomach. "What do you want from me?" "Unlock her heart," the child implored, her gaze intensifying, flickering like the ghost of a memory. "She holds the key." The weight of her words crashed around me, swirling like shards of glass threatening to slice through the fabric of my heart. But what if her heart is filled with darkness? I pressed, anxiety gripping my veins. What if the truth is rooted in horror? The child stepped closer, her voice imbued with a peculiar brightness amidst the shadowy veil. "Then we can face it together. Shadows can't exist without light. Please help us." Suddenly, the stiffness of the air crackled like static electricity, and a burst of energy surged around us, a warm flicker that broke through the darkness, igniting a flicker of courage within my chest. I glanced back at the woman, my anchor in this tempest, watching as raw emotion played across her features, a tapestry of fear inscribed with hope. "Do it," she urged, a determination blazing within her eyes. "Face what I've hidden. It's time." Taking a deep breath, I turned back to the girl, my resolve strengthening. "What do I have to do?" I inquired resolutely, readying myself for the unraveling of secrets I had not anticipated. The shadows shifted again, morphing into swirling shapes that danced on the edges of perception, creating a vortex of memories that felt achingly familiar and out of reach. "You must go where I cannot," she said softly, a web of tenderness threading through her words. "Into her memories. Find her. Free her." Fear clenched my heart like a vice as the gravity of her insistence resonated within me. "Into her memories?" I repeated, speculative. "But how do I do that? What does that even mean?" "Listen to the echoes," she instructed, the light surrounding us pulsing lightly, illuminating the swirling shadows just enough for me to glimpse fleeting figure moments lost in time. They will guide you. You must believe you can bring her back. That's how you unlock her heart. With a nod that was more instinct than certainty, I closed my eyes, willing the fragments of memory to draw me in. The moment I opened myself to the echoes whispering around me, a flood of visions cascaded forward, a cacophony of laughter, cries, and unspoken words rocked against my consciousness, and within the chaos, something began to form. A scene ignited before me. I saw the two of them, the woman I was with and the child, together in a garden blooming with joy. They were laughing, faces adorned in sunshine, innocence draping around them. But just as quickly, the scene shifted sharply. A storm cloud rolled in, casting shadows that birthed darkness. I gasped, jerked back into the swirling void, gripping the woman's arms tightly. What happened? I rasped, my throat suddenly constricted with fear and urgency. The air grew tempestuous, swirling shadows reflecting torment and pain I could not understand, creating a symphony of anguish that clawed at my heart. Miles, she called, her eyes pleading with a mix of desperation and love. You must go further. It's the only way. Her heart is the only path to break this curse. Embrace it. But before I could respond, the ground beneath us trembled, gasping an ominous vibration that was both frightening and inviting. And with one final thrust, the shadows beckoned me forward. The child's voice echoed through the chaos, a haunting lullaby whose bittersweet charm plucked at the strings of my heart. Miles, I'll be with you, don't turn away. Just as I prepared to leap into the swirling chaos of memories, the chilling realization struck me that, if confronting the depths of her sorrow tethered me to a fate darker than I could bear, before I could barricade against the outcome, an unseen force surged, pulling me into the tempest, threatening to carve a path I could never return from. It was a leap into the unknown where fragmented truths danced enticingly, yet peril awaited around every corner. And just like that, I was drawn into the depths of her past, my spirit tethered to hope as the shadows whispered treachery in my ears. The truth awaited me, yet from its suffocating tension, I could only grapple with the unnerving knowledge that my journey had begun. The air was thick with resentment and regrets as I found myself engulfed in the chaos of her memories, and each fleeting moment that passed seemed to unravel a thread that tethered reality to the fragile promise of hope we had dared to kindle. The storm raged around me, clawing at the remnants of my courage. I grasped tightly to that flickering ember of hope, even as the shadows threatened to engulf my spirit entirely. I found myself in a corridor of faded photographs, the walls lined with images that shimmered and shimmered only to fade. A little girl with bright eyes, trapped in a glass box, reaching out to another woman, her face obscured by a cloud of torment. Their connection felt palpable, yet impossibly distant. I could sense the weight of love tainted with sorrow, the hallway a graveyard for memories long suffocated by neglect and pain. Remember, Miles, the child's voice caressed my ear, gentle yet insistent. You must find the truth. Only then can we break this curse. Her presence lingered like a flicker of light in the dark. Which truth? I choked out, a tremor coursing through me as dread gripped my heart. The child caught in despair or the woman who betrayed her? Both, she intoned softly, as if recognizing the consternation I sought to unravel. Her darkness is not all that she is. The light is within her, waiting to shine. The surreal shimmering around me began to crystallize, the vibrations morphing into a scene portrayed in vibrant hues, brimming with an unsettling warmth that disoriented me. The garden. I was back in the very place I'd glimpsed earlier, but this time, clarity enveloped it. The laughter rang sharp and brightly, echoing against my heart. I witnessed the woman in her youth, blooming like chrysanthemum petals beneath the sun. Happiness radiated from her, pure and sincere. But shadows wove themselves into the corners of the frame, distant but growing closer, whispering curses that suffocated the joy. I felt the tension coiling within me, pulling taut as the love shared between the two faded into despair. I sensed a man lurking, his presence heavy, concealing layers of menace and malice. Who is that? I gasped, the realization creeping into my very bones. The child's response was immediate, echoing in the silence that followed. It's the past that haunts them. The truth that binds them. But you mustn't shy away. I stepped closer to the dreamscape, my intentions layered with trepidation. The sweetness of laughter turned sour as moments coalesced into agonia rose wilting, petals failing to catch the light. I wished to reach out to the girl, to envelop her in a warmth of understanding I had always desired. And yet, the man's figure darkened my resolve, shredding the fabric of what I shifted. I caught glimpses of the woman standing in abeyance, tears cascading down her cheeks, unable to rescue the joy that had been ensnared. I was too late, she murmured, her voice woven with a tapestry of desolation. Stop. My voice rang out, surreal in this encapsulated moment. You can't give in to the sorrow. You have to reclaim her happiness. Suddenly, the man stepped closer, his face twisted, obscured by shadows. The weight of his loathsome energy pressed against my chest, as if he was a physical force meant to mire hope in doubt's clutches. What do you know of pain? He taunted, the echoes dripping like poison. More than you could fathom, I shot back, fury igniting my heart ablaze against the suffocation of despair. I could feel the adrenaline weaving through me, and with every word I spoke, I felt the spirals of brightness shimmer around me like flickering candlelight against the dark. In that instant, the shadows stirred, a veritable maelstrom of emotions colliding before my eyes. The child's spirit remained steadier than the tempest, her soft gaze unwavering through the whirlpool of anguish. Miles, remember, the darkness is but a layer above the truth. You must stay strong. The shadows receded momentarily, as if gauging my resolve, mischievous whispers retreating as fragments of memories coalesced into focus, illuminating pieces of a story I yearned to understand. I could see the struggles of a child longing for the warmth of a mother who fell prey to shado, woman ensnared by her demons. And then, the heart of the moment emerged anew, a sight both beautiful and haunting. I watched as she stood with open arms, calling out to the child with a voice filled with longing, "I love you, please forgive me," but my heart sank as soon as I sensed what awaited an insurmountable distance between them that even the deepest love couldn't thwart. Guilt crept in like a thief, and I knew then that what I was witnessing wasn't merely a clash of shadows, but a fractured reality. And just as I thought I could grasp the fragments of this dawning truth, a sudden eruption split the air, the man reappearing in front of me with malevolent glee. "You cannot save them. You'll fail, just like she did. Return now, and let this lie dormant." Panic enveloped me, clashing with the fire in my spirit. I understood that every step deeper into the memories threatened to reveal truths I may not be prepared to face. The very heart of this woman resting in shadows, potent yet fragile beneath layers of despair. "I won't turn back," I shouted defiantly, the resolve of my heart pushing back against the overwhelming tide. "I will free her." In that moment, I knew my choice changed everything. A final tether unwound as the vortex around me shifted again. But darkness seeped into the edges, a puzzle I wasn't sure I was meant to solve. And beneath all that, I felt the creeping realization that not only had I dove into her memories, but also into my own, a labyrinth entwined with hers, where each recognition beckoned secrets long hidden, and the darkness encircled us both. Just as I steeled myself for the battle within and around me, a powerful ripple surged with resolve from the child's essence, mantra-like, "Don't forget the heart." Miles, and then the world erupted in an explosion of light, a kaleidoscope of memories born from love and regret. I was once again thrown into an abyss, and the only thing I could hold on to was the haunting refrain of the child's voice echoing through my mind, "Don't forget the heart." Amidst the explosion of light, I felt myself spiraling, the boundaries of the memories dissolving around me. Images unfurled like petals of a flower, a swirl of colors and emotions colliding until I landed abruptly in a dimly lit room. The air throbbed with tension. A heavy silence reigned, ruptured only by the faint sound of sobbing from a corner. I blinked against the darkness, straining to identify the source of the sorrow. My heart thudded in my chest as a familiar figure emerged from the shadows. The woman I had glimpsed earlier, her face a tapestry of agony, sat hunched over, wrapped in a shroud of grief that seemed to inhibit her very soul. The sorrow radiated from her, thick enough to choke the air between us. I took a tentative step toward her, my heart thrumming. The child's words echoed in my mind, bolstering my courage. The truth requires strength. Yet here I was, an outsider in this realm of pain, filled with trepidation for the truth that lay ahead. Mila? I whispered, the name barely crossing my lips. At the sound of my voice, she lifted her head, eyes glassy and dulled by unshed tears. Recognition flickered, momentarily displacing her suffering. Miles? She asked, her voice caught between disbelief and longing. You shouldn't be here. Every ounce of warmth that had once danced in her eyes was now eclipsed by a shadow, but I pressed on, my resolve unwavering. You need to let her in, I pleaded. That little girl, she needs you just as much as you need her. No, she choked out, shaking her head violently. I've failed her. I've buried her hopes beneath my failures. No. That isn't true, I insisted, stepping closer. You can still reach her. You have to let her know that she is not alone. Her anguish seemed to sharpen, morphing into a more complex emotion, imbued with layers of anger and fear. Miles, you don't understand, she hissed, panic crackling in her voice. I am the reason she is lost. I am the darkness she must escape. With those words, the room shifted again, splinters of reality splashing against the walls like waves against rocky cliffs. Around us, pitiful whispers materialized from the darkness, taunting and mocking, creating a cacophony that mirrored her inner turmoil. I could feel the shadows tightening their grip, looking to snatch her away from the light. Mila, listen to me, I urged, desperation lacing my words. Your love is more powerful than these shadows. It can pierce the darkness. Please fight. She buried her face in her hands, her sobs reverberating against the walls until they turned into an anguished wail. I've lost everything. I can't fight anymore, she cried. A deep fissure opened between us, threatening to swallow hope. But within the depths of her despair, something caught my eye, a glimmer of light nestled in her chest. I moved closer, instinct urging me forward. Somehow, I sensed that, even amidst her pain, there remained a spark ready to ignite. The embers that the child had spoken of were hidden within her, waiting to be reignited. Mila, please think of her, I urged fiercely. Think of the love you shared. She's waiting for you. Don't let despair define you. For a moment, she faltered, breathing heavily as the shadows wavered, caught between yielding and closing in. The flicker of understanding shone in her eyes as she dared to lift her gaze back to mine. You believe I can still reach her? I know you can, I replied, voice trembling with the weight of my conviction. Your heart has weathered this storm. Don't abandon it now. As if coaxed by my words, the faint light within her flickered brighter, breaking through the heaviness that had engulfed her. The shadows hung back momentarily, recoiling from the vibrant surge, their whispers faltering, but then a jarring rumble shook the room, ripping the fragile moment apart. The man's dark figure loomed again, his presence heavy, as if the very ground cracked beneath the weight of his malignant energy. You're too late, he hissed, voice slicing through the air like a razor's edge. This is her end. I felt a panic surge through me, an unsettling dread that threatened to consume every shred of hope I had fought to sustain. No, I shouted, defiance fueling my voice. You don't get to decide her fate. Suddenly, the light within Mila flickered dangerously, wavering under the pressure of his taunts. She shrank back, hands grasping at her heart, fear clawing at her resolve. I couldn't let despair overcome her again. I needed to push back against the darkness threatening to engulf us both. Mila, I cried out, urgency cutting through the chaos. You must stand. You're stronger than this. You have the love she needs to guide her back. Everything around us shifted violently, memories flooding back, the sweetness of laughter, the warmth of tender declarations, a mother's unwavering love. Those echoes surged within Mila, the memories colliding with the darkness hovering precariously above like storm clouds before a downpour. But just before she could break free, the man lunged, a whirlwind of shadows ensnaring her once more. I reached out, desperate to bridge the gap, to pull her back into the light. As she faltered, A shocking revelation pierced through the tumult. A hidden piece of the truth began to coalesce in my mind, revealed in the clarity of love and pain intertwined. "Mila," I gasped, breathless, "you must remember, just because you stumbled doesn't mean you're lost forever." With every ounce of courage, I held her gaze as the darkness clawed, the cacophony of whispers growing, each a dagger aimed at her heart. "You can find her again. Don't let them silence your love." The man's laughter echoed, cruel and mocking, while shadows twisted around us, threatening to snuff out our voices. But I could feel the flicker of hope weaving stronger. The spark igniting in her chest blossomed, fueled by the love that had endured through pain, and just as the shadows threatened to encapsulate her entirely, I held on fiercely, steeling my heart against the cold grip of despair. But in an instant, a sudden flash of blinding light enveloped us, and amidst the chaos, an unexpected warmth surged through me. But just as quickly, that light began to fade. In a gasp of realization, I understood somehow, something was about to change irrevocably. And it was then I heard the child's voice echoing through the shadows, a distant chime of hope and heartache intertwined. "Don't forget the heart, Miles, and remember, the truth bears a price." Breathless and heart-racing, I could only stare into the swirling darkness as it threatened to consume us both, the battle between love and despair hanging in the balance. Would I be ready to pay that price? And would Mila ever find the heart she had long abandoned? Before I could grasp the answer, the world shifted again, darkness closing in, leaving me teetering on the precipice of chaos. The darkness loomed, overwhelming and thick, yet a flicker of courage kept me from surrendering. I fought against the uncertainty surrounding both Mila and me, clinging to the hope that splashed around us like broken pieces of a once bright mosaic. The shadows twisted and snarled, but there, beneath the veil of despair, the light in Mila remained a fragile beacon. "Mila," I called again, my voice trembling but determined. "Listen to the memories. They're still alive within you. Find her." In that moment of desperation, the sounds coalesced into poignant echoes, the giggle of a child riding a bike for the first time, the soft whispers of encouragement shared in quiet corners during rainy afternoons. Memories laced with warmth and light wrapped around her, trying to penetrate through the layers of darkness. Each sound felt like a gentle push toward the glimmer of hope emerging from her chest, yet the man's presence loomed larger, a vile embodiment of everything she feared. I could feel his dark energy pulsating, intent on suffocating her spirit. "You cannot escape what you are, Mila," he taunted, sneering. "You will always be defined by your failures. Look at what you've done." His words struck hard, a fierce stab that thudded against her heart, resonating with a painful truth that she had long buried. Mila recoiled, the flicker of light dimming beneath the weight of his accusations. My heart raced, knowing I had to give her something greater than momentary defiance, a reason to believe she was worthy. "Remember the way she looked at you," I urged, desperation biting at my voice. "Remember how fiercely she loved you. Those moments are unbreakable. They await you in the light." Her gaze wavered, the anguish etched on her face battling with something else, an ember of determination. If only I could keep that flame alive, surround her with warmth and certainty. But just as I sensed a crack forming in the inky dark, he lunged again, shadows coiling round Mila's ankles, dragging her deeper into despair. Another wave of panic surged through me. I pressed forward, fighting against the pull of the darkness. "Mila, you didn't fail her. You have the power to choose love over fear. Fight with everything you have." The darkness hissed, furious, swirling violently, but inside her chest, I felt that spark draw strength from my words. It ignited, casting a warm glow that began to push back against the encroaching shadows around us, illuminating memories that had once flickered and faded. "Let the love guide you, Mila," I implored, digging deeper into my own memories for every piece of light I could conjure. "Remember your laughter, your dreams, and everything you made possible. You are more than your sorrow." And just like that, the shadows flickered hesitantly, shifted away a fraction, revealing more of her true self. For the first time, I saw clarity emerging in her eyes, like a flower daring to bloom amidst the rubble. "But what if I can't?" she whispered, doubt trembling her voice. Then I will be here to remind you, I pledge earnestly, feeling the depth of my own commitment surge. I will fight for both of you. Just hold on to me, the man roared in frustration, his shadowy form radiating fury as it clawed, but as I reached out, grasping for her hand, the shadows around us flickered. The power that pulsed within Mila surged again, a tidal wave of love washing over the darkness, illuminating the abysmal void that sought to consume us. Yet as she stepped forward, determination glimmering once more, a sudden gust of wind ripped through the Ruma chaos of shadow and light, hurling me backward with the force of a tempest. I felt weightless, suspended in a void of uncertainty, miles. The cry pierced the murmur of darkness, and in that instant, I saw a terrible revelation that I never expected mingled with the remnants of hope. From the void, the dark figure grinned, and for the first time, I recognized the face hidden beneath the layers of shadows. My heartbeat thundered as memories flooded back, colliding like waves against my consciousness. I staggered, grappling with the truth that tightened around my chest, squeezing air from my lungs. The man was linked to both Mila and the child, a ghost that refused to fade even in the face of love's light. Miles, Mila's voice pulled me back, stronger and filled with resolve. But my mind could only fixate on the figure behind her, the truth wrapping around us like an inescapable cage. I tried to shout, to warn her, to unveil the truth that would tether her heart to her past. Mila, wait. But before the words could leave my lips, the darkness surged forth one last time, swallowing her whole, and in that shattering moment, the room shifted violently, the noise of shadows and memories blending into a chaotic symphony. Hope and despair collided as I fell to my knees, helpless against the tide. But amidst the chaos, I was left grappling with something far more devastating than the darkness enveloping us, an understanding that no matter how hard I fought, some truths might inflict a wound too deep to mend. As the room slipped away, I was haunted by the memories of love and shadows intertwined, my heart echoing with desperation. I had ventured to save her, but in this battle, would I be strong enough to not only reclaim her spirit, but also confront the darkness pulling at my own heartstrings? With every fiber of my being, I knew that the real fight had only just begun. And as anguish washed over me, I could only hold on to the remnants of hope cradled in the fading light, unsure if I could ever find her again. The echoes of that moment clung to me as I knelt in the empty room, my chest heaving, a storm of emotions raging within. Mila was lost to the darkness, but the truth that surfaced, the horrific revelation of her tormentor, felt like a blade buried deep in my heart. How could I hope to save her if I couldn't even understand the depths of the nightmare that surrounded us? I closed my eyes, trying to grasp any shred of clarity from the chaos. The darkness churned like a living thing, whispering doubts and fears, but a flicker of resilience broke through the fog. I had faced shadows before. I had found the strength to draw courage from the depths of despair. I needed to rise again, to search for Mila amidst the shadows that threatened to consume us both. Mila. I called, the name bursting forth like a prayer. You are more than this darkness. You are not alone. I will find you. But the silence that enveloped me in reply was chilling, pressing against my skin like a suffocating shroud. No answer came, only echoes of our past, reminders of laughter and love that now felt painfully distant. I knew she could hear me somewhere within the abyss. My words were threads weaving between the light and darkness, unable to reach her in the depths of despair. I stood, determination surging through me. I had to confront this figure, the shadow that had disrupted our world. My heart raced as I thought back to that twisted grin and the flicker of recognition that had rippled through me. Who was this man, and why did he haunt both Mila and me so relentlessly? Drawing upon every ounce of courage, I took a step forward into the gathering shadows, plunging myself into the unknown. The air felt electric with tension as I thrust my arm into the darkness, reaching for anything that could lead me back to her. In that moment, a soft presence brushed my arm, a fleeting warmth igniting my heart. It was an unexpected kindness, a reminder that even in despair, light could emerge from the unlikeliest of places. Mila, I'm here, I whispered, believing fiercely that I could pull her back. I love you. We can do this together. The shadows around me twisted fiercely, but their anger now felt different, more like a beast that sensed its prey ready to confront it. The memory of Milla's laughter wrapped around me, a gentle reminder of the joy we had shared. "I will not let you take her," I shouted, my voice echoing defiantly through the dark. Suddenly, the shadows retreated, revealing a dimly lit corridor leading deeper into the darkness. The path twisted away into obscurity, but I felt compelled to move forward, propelled by a mix of desperation and hope. Something awaited me down this path, something that might hold the key to freeing Milla from her torment. As I ventured further, flickers of light gracefully danced along the edges of the corridor, revealing fragments of memories. Moments spent knitting together dreams of a future unfettered by fear, whispered secrets shared in starlit nights. Each step forward rekindled that flicker of resilience, reminding me of the power that love had to endure. Driven by the strength of those memories, I pressed on. My heart raced, filled with an emotional resonance bordering on euphoric. I could almost feel Milla beside me. If I believed strongly enough, I could bridge the chasm between our worlds. "We can break free from this, Milla," I murmured, pushing against the darkness, yet there were still shadows lurking within the recess. My mind swirled with questions, doubts creeping in like a fog. Had I truly understood the extent of what she was facing? Was my love enough to save her, or was I just a fool meandering into a deeper abyss? Each thought battered against my resolve, threatening to tear me apart. Then, suddenly, the corridor widened, revealing a dimly lit room pulsating with sinister energy. In the center stood the figure, the embodiment of our fears. He looked just like I had seen him moments before, but now his presence felt even more terrifying, the shadows wrapping around him like vipers ready to strike. "You've come to challenge me again?" he sneered, eyes glinting with a sadistic glee. "You think you can save her, but she's already mine." I felt my bravery wavering under the weight of his taunts, but deep within me, a new flicker ignited, a raw intensity ignited from the memories of love and sacrifice I held dear. "You don't define her," I replied fiercely, my voice steadying despite the tempest of fear swirling in my chest. "Love defines her. And it'll show you just how strong that love can be." Just then, a whisper brushed against my ear like a breeze through trees, soft yet insistent. The words weren't mine, they were something greater, a surge of energy pooling deep within my heart. "Keep fighting, Miles," it urged, echoing through the stillness. I felt the warmth of hope radiating off those words, guiding me. But even as determination flared, shadows surged around me, thicker and more suffocating than before, plunging me into a frigid world of doubts and fears. I gasped as my breath caught, realizing that the battle was not just a struggle for Milla's light, but also for my own. As the darkness enveloped me, I braced for impact. "Milla, I'm coming," I screamed into the vast emptiness, willing her spirit to rise alongside mine. And with that, the shadowed figure lunged forward, but instead of fear, I felt an unexpected thrill surging through my veins. In that collision of light and dark, something unveiled within me, a fierce, unyielding will to overcome the shadows of our pasts. But just as realization gripped my heart, a blinding flash filled the room, and I could not tell if it was hope cleansing away the darkness, or if it was merely a flash before the inevitable confrontation. And in that moment, teetering on the precipice of light and shadow, I felt a horrifying sense of dread. What if I could fight the darkness and still lose her? What if this was a battle I was destined to fight alone? My heart raced at the thought, pounding against the walls of despair. As the light flickered, revealing the true face of my challenge, the ache of uncertainty spiraled deep within me. Would I ever have the strength to save Hira? Would I be forever haunted by the choices of our past? A heavy stillness enveloped me as the flash of light faded, leaving me grasping for clarity in the remnants of chaos. The darkness swirled like a living thing, menacing and alive, but within that oppressive gloom, I felt the vibrant pulse of determination coursing through my veins. I refused to surrender. I had come too far, woven too many memories together with Milla to let despair swallow us whole. "Milla," I cried again, a voice filled with raw urgency and unwavering resolve. "I'm right here." Focus on my voice. The shadows writhed violently, trying to drown out my words, but I pressed on, fighting against the invisible chains that bound her. I could sense her essence flickering somewhere within the tumult, a gentle spark still flickering against the overwhelming darkness. I had to reach her. We had to reconnect, just as we had embraced each other amidst our fears. As if summoned by my call, the shadows thickened, twisting into forms that flickered like memories, a little girl's laughter here, a bittersweet tug of a mother's embrace there. Each vision anchored me deeper in the swirl of emotions, flooding my senses with the warmth of love we once shared. Memories radiated with brightness, pleading to be released from the grip of sorrow. The dark figure loomed by the far wall, watching me with sinister delight. You think your intrusion means anything? She should be my she is defined by her failures and regrets, he taunted, his voice coiling around me like a noose. With everything I had, I shouted back, you know nothing of her. She is more than her past. She is love and laughter, strength and resilience, everything you want to destroy. You will not take her from me. The words whipped through the air, striking a chord in the depths of the shadows, sending ripples through the darkness. The figure faltered for just a moment, and in that instant, I seized the opportunity to bridge the distance, my heart pulsing in sync with the flickering light of hope nested within Mila. Mila, remember our moments. I pleaded, eyes wide as I searched for her amidst the chaos. Remember when we found joy in the small things? The laughter, the garden? We are woven together beyond the shadows. Don't let the darkness define our love. Suddenly, a faint glimmer caught my eye, a light glistening in the distance, beckoning with warmth and familiarity. My heart thundered as I sprinted towards it, plunging into the depths of shared memories that swirled around me like waves of light. Laughter echoed, rich and full, and I could almost see her face in the distancia beacon against the shadows. Mila, I won't abandon you. We're in this together. In that moment, the world around me began to shatter, tilting between hope and vulnerability, light and darkness. The shadows cowered slightly, and I realized that I was no longer alone. I could feel Mila's essence intertwining with mine, steadying our shared connection as the darkness surged. I in the center of the swirling chaos. I locked eyes with the darkness, a manifestation of doubt and pain, the embodiment of everything that sought to keep us apart. You think you can suppress love? I whispered defiantly, fueled by the understanding that swept through me. Love is relentless. Love is fierce. It doesn't vanish, it transforms. The words reverberated through the void, igniting something within me. It was as if love itself had sprouted wings, taking flight with every heartbeat. In that moment, I allowed myself to envision not just Mila but our deeper connection, the intertwined fates that had rooted in love and longing, transcending our suffering. And then, from the depths of shadow, I saw her, Mila, emerging, a radiant light whose warmth pierced through the thick fog of despair. Her eyes searched for me, darting from fear toward recognition. In the depths of her anguish, I saw flickers of hope igniting, the reawakening of strength she had long thought gone. I can't fight. She gasped, betrayal and sorrow chipping away at her resolve. Yes, you can. You're not broken. You have a heart that's worth healing, I implored, feeling my own heart synchronize with hers, sending ripples through the darkness. With every secret shared, every memory revived, we can break the curse together. The shadows hissed, swirling violently as her voice rang out amidst the chaos. But what if I've lost her forever? What if you haven't? I interrupted fiercely, finding power in every syllable. You are more than your fears. You can reclaim your love and your daughter. I believe in you. Let love guide you. In the cacophony of the ominous voice trying to drown us, I felt a surge of resolve and memories, all our moments together competing for prominence against shadows. As if rallied by some unseen force, memories of joy wrapped like fragile threads around us, illuminating the dark corners. With newfound determination, I reached for her, crossing the threshold despite the shadows closing in. Take my hand, Mila. Let's rewrite this story together. And just like that, the boundaries of the darkness began to shatter, breaking upon the power of our combined love. I felt the warmth of her hand intertwining with mine, flesh against flesh, spirit connecting. Light poured in through the void, curling around us like a sacred promise of renewal. You believe in me? Her voice trembled, but I could see the flicker of hope igniting in her eyes. I have always believed in you, I replied, heart racing, as the shadows recoiled around us. Now let's challenge the abyss together. The darkness roared in protest, but the bond we forged flared brighter, pushing back against the void. It felt as though love had woven itself into the very fabric of our being, binding us together against the storm, illuminating even the darkest corners of our hearts. As light surged forward, the figure twisted in agony, shadows erupting around him with a vengeance. You can't escape your fate. You will succumb to loss, he bellowed, but my heart felt unfazed, knowing that nothing could extinguish what love had ignited. With every fiber of my being, I called out, love defines us. Love will always prevail. And as the light enveloped us, I braced myself for the final confrontation, knowing with certainty that I would never let her go. Love had conquered the darkness. It had forged us into something new, something unbreakable. Together, we would either dissipate the shadows that haunted us or find our salvation within the light we feared. And, as the echoes of our love rang like an anthem through the obsidian void, I held on, breathing fervently, surrendering to the truth that poured from our hearts. In that climactic moment, the darkness broke apart like shattering glass, the shards reflecting our shared laughter, remnants of pain released in a cascade of joy. The flickers erupted into a dazzling dawn, banishing the night that had clung to us for too long, and as we emerged hand in hand from the shadows, our souls entwined through love, I saw her an image I would never forget. Mila, glowing like the sun, a woman reborn. She turned to me, her eyes brilliant with gratitude. Thank you, she whispered, but I shook my head slowly, realization dawning upon us both, filling every crevice of my heart. It is we who are reborn, Mila. Together. And in the light of a new day, I finally understood, love doesn't erase the scars of the past, but it binds us together, and, through its warmth, we find our home, our truth, and ultimately, ourselves. As we stepped out into the dawn, hand in hand, I heard the echoes of her daughter's laughter once more, a melody inviting us into the embrace of tomorrow, each note resonating with the tender yearning of healing. The promise of a future woven in the glow of love's undying flame. Home, I whispered to her softly, the word carrying weight of vow and a promise. And, with joy swelling in our hearts, we held fast to that single realization. Through the love we had fought to reclaim, we finally understood home would always be found in the brilliant dance between light and shadow, joy and heartache, and above all, the threads of love that weave us together eternally.